Welcome everybody to the Daryl and Buu show. I'm Buu and that's Daryl. How's it going, Daryl? How was your weekend?
Yeah, weekend was good. Nothing too exciting. I went over to a friend's for dinner on Saturday night and watched some football on Sunday. Other than that, just cleaned up my office, which was well overdue. As I'm looking around it right now, it was kind of just getting to that point where it was a little bit unmanageable. So yeah, productive weekend, nice and relaxing. How about yourself?
Nice. Yeah, I am. I forgot. I was going to pull up a picture of my wardrobe, which has been the saga of my life. My IKEA PAX wardrobe. So let me see if I can get this transferred over here.
And this is your wife's new office that you're putting together, right?
Wardrobe. So this is the wardrobe so that, I just see what happened here on computer. So we've moved our, so let me recap the saga here. So saga starts off with, hey, we need to clear out some space and then make an office space for my wife. We're homeschooling the kids. Turns out homeschooling is a ton of work. You are creating not just one lesson plan for one class, but you're creating 3 lesson plans for 3 kids and teaching them those lesson plans. So you're having to study the lesson the night before and then deliver it to the kids the next day. So it's a ton of work. It's not just sitting kid. There's no classes where you sit a kid in front of Zoom or anything like that.
Right.
And so we're like, okay, well, my office space, I'm usually on the line or at various times of the day. So it'd be very distracting for her to sit in here with me, even though there's room. So we will use the walk-in closet, and that's another good space with the closed door. It doesn't take up an entire room. So, okay, we've got clothes in there. We got to move them out. So, hey, she went to IKEA. Here's this wardrobe that you can put together. Great. She picks up this design that was in the showroom. And so we wanted a couple modifications on it. Well, these wardrobes you can modify to the nth degree. And so IKEA has a wardrobe configuration tool online, but it uses Adobe Flash. Adobe Flash is set to be deprecated by the end of the year. It's like they haven't updated this app in 10 years or something.
Right.
Funkiest thing ever. And so I'm struggling to try to make sense of it and put things together. Eventually, after a couple of days of just not getting anywhere, went to IKEA. The guy at the store, click, click, click. He made the modifications in 30 seconds, gave me the plan. Go home, figure out that we have sprinklers that come out of the wall in various rooms. And sure enough, those are sprinklers that are going to block the height of the wardrobe. And we have, 8 or 9 foot ceilings up there. And so we had to lower it to the next height of the wardrobe. So
right.
What do? I have to go back into this wardrobe planner that I hate. I thought I had removed Adobe Flash for good, but sure enough, I'm back into Adobe Flash and then make my modifications. And then there was a rigmarole with ordering the wardrobe. I had ordered it, thought everything had gone through. I'd got a delivery time. Nothing shows up. And then I go back, look at my credit card. Nothing's being charged or anything, thank goodness. And then I call them up. Getting through to IKEA takes about an hour on the phone.
Wow.
And then just verified order didn't go through. Cool. Okay, let's replace the order. Now the thing actually shows up in a couple of days, and now I've got to put it together. So I will show that came in last week. I will show people. It's actually done. So, but I only have a picture of.
Oh wow!
Looks like there. So there it is. Just had the doors just went on after that, but that's the inside configuration of the wardrobe. So
yeah,
that was my weekend, along with mountain biking. As we always do as well. I can share a picture of my mountain biking as well, actually.
Yeah, once again, you're much more productive than I am on the weekend. I don't know how you pull that off with 3 kids, but there you go.
Here's here we are mountain biking.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Fall today, so that was good. It was raining the day before, so the trails were just a little bit muddy, but nothing too bad. Everything washed off. So.
Yeah, and we're supposed to be getting temperatures close to 25, 26 degrees this week too. So hopefully you guys can sneak out in the evenings or something like that.
Yeah.
Back to a little bit of an end of summer here.
Yeah, that would be nice. So I don't know if that's a segue. We have the man from Hawaii, but he's actually in California, so he's used to good weather.
Yes.
And we'll say an aloha to local F5 celebrity Peter Silva.
Yeah. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Welcome.
Hey, thanks.
The same to you, Peter.
Good to be on. The way my camera's going, it's almost like I got half a shaved head over here, but I got more hair on my head than I have had in years.
You know what I tell people? I reference you actually quite often in that I talk about the aloha effect.
Mm-hmm.
That you're at, I call you an F5 celebrity because you have always been one of the faces of F5. So you're always on videos and stuff like that. And then and you're synonymous with aloha, and you use that or we're using that as one of your taglines to kind of give continuity to some stuff. And so I talk about the aloha effect in that you see Peter and it's like, hey, he's this celebrity because I see him all the time because he's on video, and then you meet him in person, still an amazing guy, but it's kind of like he's the celebrity because he says aloha to you. So I've referenced that multiple times.
I think there's something about the word aloha too, at least to me, it just conjures up good feelings. Like when you never use it until you actually get to Hawaii, and then it's all over the place. And Hawaii is one of the places that makes you feel good. Yeah.
I'm 1/8 Native Hawaiian, so I do have blood, and it's from the Kikaulike line. Kikaulike was the 23rd, but also the 27th moi of Maui. Moi just means king. Before Kamehameha united the islands, each island was ruled by their own king, even though they were all, blood related somehow. So Kikaulike was Kamehameha's uncle. So I'm literally, when we talk about Liliuokalani, the last queen, we call her Auntie Queen because the bloodline, we have that bloodline in us. So when Kamehameha was about, sending out his sentries to let the other islands know, look, either you can join peacefully or I'm going to come invade you because I'm uniting the islands. So it was my grandpa, Kikaulike, Kamehameha's uncle, who basically said, bring it, little boy.
Wow.
And he got his ass kicked. So he also happened to rule part of Oahu, which was kind of like that final battle on the Pali Lookout. I don't know if you guys have ever been to the Pali, but that's kind of where the final Kamehameha troops and the Oahu warriors, where they shoved all the warriors off the Pali. So that place is pretty sacred. So the aloha thing just kind of came from, I was thinking about The Simpsons. This was back, I started doing videos at F5 2009. And it was kind of one of those things, somebody, Al Jean or one of those Simpson creators talked about how each character had their own catchphrase. And they would go through, even Nelson with the ha ha.
Yeah.
So it was kind of one of those things where, all right, I'm injecting my own kind of personality and heritage, and that it became like a great way to kick off videos. I mean, what other way to just like burst out with an aloha to welcome people? And yeah, you're right, Boo. It became this thing greater than me over the years where, you'd be at conferences and stuff and people would just yell it out. But it's, that's cool. That kind of picked up. It's neat. And then I kind of dropped it when I kind of stopped doing particularly those trade show interviews and started doing more things like the Lightboard lessons for Dev Central and some of the other things to kind of, I don't know, I'm now like giving a shaka and those kinds of things. It's almost like, I don't know, sort of leave it in that era and let others kind of pick it up from there.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah. So what island were you, was your family from then prior to the consolidation?
I was born at Kapiolani, which is just in Honolulu, but my dad born Honolulu. My mom was actually born in Kona on the Big Island. And there was a tsunami in 1956 where my grandpa, as the water was coming in and he was helping people off, he ended up climbing up, this telephone pole as the water came in. And when the water receded, apparently there was this Volkswagen Bug that was kind of bent like a horseshoe underneath at the bottom of the telephone pole. So as the water came in, it sort of bent it around. And after that was when my grandpa was like, you know what, let's move to the windward side on Oahu and kind of avoid any more tsunamis. Oh, not Kona, I'm sorry, Hilo. It was the Hilo one.
Huh, interesting.
So I still, it's when I was young, I don't know. When you're young, you kind of want to be like everybody else. So when my mom would come into the classroom and point out the fact, this is a Hawaiian prince right here. So, you're like, Ma, don't. But obviously, as I got older and, read about what happened to the royal family back then and, all the shenanigans with the overthrow, it kind of became something I wanted to embrace and be proud of and those kinds of things. And, it's worked out well.
Okay, super interesting.
Yeah, very cool story. So when did you move over to the mainland then?
So it was actually 1960. I'm going to give my age. I was born in 66, and that was the same year my dad got a job with IBM, which sent us to the mainland. In fact, California in 1967. And then subsequent moves from California to New Jersey to Rhode Island, of all places. So I literally grew up, grade school, high school out east because my dad worked at the Newport Naval Base. IBM had the contracts with the Navy for all the Trident nuclear monitoring subsystems. So I always wanted to be an actor growing up. That was kind of my thing. I did the plays in school. I did the high school musicals, all those kinds of things. I even went to college for theater arts. My undergraduate is in acting, and I'm 8 credits away from my MFA in stage direction. But I grew up with IBM technology in the house. And it kind of, I don't know, I kind of feel really lucky now in my mid-50s that I've been able to take my passion part, the performance or the acting, the theater piece, telling stories, with this technology stuff that I kind of grew up with, but always kind of brushed aside, growing up, just because, oh no, I'm not going to do that, Dad. So I'm pretty fortunate to be able to tell technology stories, and particularly on camera, because it fulfills whatever performance angst that I have in me.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
One of the things right now with marketing in
college at Marquette in Milwaukee, then moved to Chicago. I was working in professional theater. The theater that I was working at, the Auditorium Theater. So this was 95 or 96. And Showboat was coming in. I don't know if you know this. The song goes, Old Man River, bum, bum. So we were the house, and I think it was the first national tour, the Broadway. So when they were going out, and Ticketmaster, this was one of the, so I'm not exactly sure if it was the first show, but it was literally one of the first shows that Ticketmaster sold online. I happened to be working at the house for the show, and I still remember running across the street in the middle of winter in Chicago, tell Billy, pull seats, da-da-da-da-da, because, all the hard tickets were in the slot right behind them, but we were also selling them online. And that was kind of, that moment where I'd been working in professional theater for a number of years. This technology stuff was really gaining ground. I had a Sprint dial account at the time. This was still when Yahoo had under 1,000 artists, remember when Yahoo would just have the listing of music and then artists and then types and that kind of stuff. And that was my moment where I was sort of like, okay, well, I think this internet thing, particularly the web, the multimedia web, might become our entertainment industry of the future. And I remember telling somebody, I think there's going to come a time where there'll just be this monitor on the wall, like the TV, and you'll be getting all of the stuff through this. And I quit my job working in the theater, went to work for this small VAR, like 100% commission, selling, I don't know if you guys remember the Netopia routers. They look like spaceships. There are these ISDN routers, and installing these things in the schools, because it was all about the, every kid gets access to or has a computer or something. I don't even remember. And that's sort of where I made that transition from the whole like theater thing into the technology thing, because I thought, well, you know what, let's give this a go, and I can kind of combine my two talents, and off we went. And then I kind of acted my way into a job at AT&T, and because I had earrings, they were like, "You're an internet specialist, you're hired." Like, cool,
qualified.
Yeah, and I got formal training there, and things move on in life.
Yeah. Have you ever done any just sort of local theater or anything like that, just to kind of keep your toe in the water?
Every once in a while, throughout the years, I would go take an improv class. That's probably, particularly for things like this, live on-air broadcasts.
Yeah.
Improv is probably one of the best things you can do, because it's really all about being in the moment, taking the information from the other person and building upon it, kind of thing. But I actually haven't been in a stage play in a long time. Doing all those video interviews were kind of, I don't know. That was it. I think I've lost count, but I'm sure it's somewhere between 600 and 700 videos for F5 since like 2009.
Amazing.
So
we've, I thought we've got videos pumping out. We're at, let me check this. We're at about 62 videos at this point.
I know, but this is over a decade, dude.
We're going to take a while to catch up.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
To take my improv classes.
Yeah.
It always amazes me when I watch people who really know how to do improv. Like, acting to me is incredible. It's so far out there that people go up on a stage and perform like that and are just able to do it and make it seem convincing. But improv is a whole nother ball game where you just go up and have to perform on the fly like that. It's so impressive that people can do that.
It's fun and scary, kind of, right? It's the fun, but it's also that it gives you that not a moment of pause, but your adrenaline's going so much, almost like it's as if you're like almost ready to do a bungee jump or something, but it's that energy that gets you going.
Sure. Yeah.
Is there a safety net when you're doing improv? Like, what if you just blank and you got nothing to say?
Well, you hope somebody else might be able to pick you up. And there's certainly, some improv games where if you mess up or you have a safe word or a kill switch or and scene, and call it right there. But it's always, even if you go a different path than what the person expects, it's kind of incumbent upon them to then pick up where you're going and keep the story moving. I mean, that's just the whole point, is keep the story moving forward. Don't ever kind of go back unless you need to reference something that's critical to the moment.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. My daughter, she's 6. She's getting into her first theater class, and they are doing Moana. So Speak of Hawaii and she'll be doing that. She'll be in the chorus, of course. The older kids will take on some of the other roles, but she's pretty excited about it.
Yeah, in your shows, Boo, or your shows, but either here and I don't know if you've shared with the world that we kind of have our own internal thing on Fridays, and a lot of times, the things that you and team talk about are all about the tools and the processes and the backgrounds and the Adobe and stuff like that. I'm going to come on and really kind of talk about it from a performance perspective. Like, people think oh, you just, get on video and talk. But like, honestly, when you're producing a video, it is a performance. So there's rehearsal, there's breathing, there's kind of speaking some things to get the tongue and the mouth working well, the standing up straight, the steel bar from your head down to your tailbone. So there's a lot, there's that whole performance area that I like to talk about, and the energy required, particularly on camera. You got to probably have 3, 5, 10 times the energy on camera as you're, presenting something than necessarily standing in front of a stage, just because you're also getting the energy is being fed from the audience. And so there's that combined energy going on. With a camera, it's just look right down the barrel and bring them in.
That's like a big point of like what we talk about when it comes to digital transformation too, not to get sidetracked, but I think this kind of aligns, but people get really focused on, hey, what tools do I need in order to get to digital transformation? But really a lot of people need to take a step back and think about what are the outcomes that I want, and what are these tools actually enabling for me? Because it's all fine and dandy to go spend a whole bunch of money on all your F5s and all the other things, but then you're going to get this pile of software, pile of appliances in front of you. And then what were you actually trying to achieve with your business transformation? How do you measure all of that? So it kind of comes back to this video stuff. It's all nice to have all the fancy gear, but if you're not doing anything with it, what did you spend all of this money for with this gear?
Right. Or what you're doing is just kind of low energy, boring, not, I mean, there's that whole point of everybody has a story to tell. And so and people, right, they're like, oh, I can't write a book. I don't got a story to tell. Well, everybody has their story to tell, and it's probably quite interesting, but you still have to be able to tell a story in a fun, the musicality of the voice, the particular words that you use, the tone, the inflection, the silence, all those things are critically important to help present the story that you do want to tell.
Yeah. And some people are natural at it, and most others, I assume, really have to, like you said, kind of work at the craft. Yeah, we've got a guy on our team that we do once a week. We'll do a team call to run through numbers, get updates, product updates, and so forth. But we've got one of the folks on our team who's just a natural storyteller. Mm-hmm. Whenever it gets a little bit quiet, because we'll have on average 12 to 15 people on the call, and our manager who's running the call, sometimes it's difficult keeping people involved and keeping the energy up and getting people to participate. But we're fortunate to have one guy who always fills in a story or two, and he's just uniquely talented at telling stories. Everything is funny. It has a point. Everything's got a point, but I don't know if he's just developed that skill over the years or he's just naturally good at it. I suspect it's a bit of both.
Yeah, well, Buu, you were talking about the digital transformation, right? And a lot of this is about the metrics and the data. That's that whole point of being agile and adjusting quickly and making the updates daily is kind of based on the data. So we have data scientists, but really one of the hottest jobs right now is a data scientist storyteller. So being able to take all of those numbers, that analytical part of it, and turn those numbers into a business value story, that's like the critical job in enterprises today. Is, okay, how does this affect it, and what's the story we want to tell so people can understand what the numbers mean?
And probably because it's told as a story, they can inspire action through emotion. So causing people to react to something because they were presented numbers in a certain way that made sense and told them, unlock something in their head that says, oh, I need to do something about these numbers that I've seen that don't look good for the next quarter or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And one would think those two things are almost diametrically opposed. When I think of a data scientist, it's someone staring at numbers and crunching them and good with algorithms and all that sorts of things. And then to be able to take all that stuff and pitch that to someone who's holding holding the purse strings. Those are two very different talents.
Yeah, you got to be real good at metaphors.
Yeah.
It's really, and just your own experience, like your own opinion. We have, I work with, you probably heard of her, Jane Woodbury. She works with a lot of us, particularly those of us on camera at F5. And one of the things she talks about a lot, particularly for SEs and the technical folks, is you can have all of your topologies and speeds and feeds and those kinds of things. And a lot of times, technical sales or SEs, they're just like rattling through, oh, we do this, high speed that, and perfect forward this, and this feature that. But really the key is taking that and literally kind of looking down on it. And this is what I think about all this. This is what all this means. This is what it means to me. And this is how it can impact me and impact you and impact your business.
Right.
Like that's the magic right there.
Yeah, again, easier said than done too. That's a difficult thing to do in my mind, because that is in sales, same sort of thing. You're just, the ultimate goal is to be painting that picture, telling a story, but quite often you only get limited amount of time in front of a customer, and you've got to get certain points across, and to actually build that story into the whole process. Not always easy.
And there's literally a chart. Now, not old, but there's, you remember from grade school, the story arc where it has, the intro and the conflict, and, the story arc goes up, and then there's the big moment in the play, and then the denouement, and everything gets resolved at the end. Like that's a lot of times how most plays, stories work. But in reality, especially with working with customers, the story arc kind of is like, this is where we are. This is where we can be.
Yeah.
Yes, this is where we are. But this is where we can be. And it's really that between what we're doing now and the greatness of where we could be, and painting that picture, that's that story for like technology stuff and getting your point across, is making that comparison between where we are.
She was very interesting in the, I know Boo's going to be taking some one-on-one lessons with her, but I really found the one session I sat in on with her where you just described it, but it's a bit of a wave. It's not just up and down, make your point. It's the process is like, here's where we are, here's where we could be, here's where we are, here, and then that could be in a conversation 3 or 4 or more of those. So yeah, very interesting stuff.
It's got to be a useful skill for even management within an IT department as well. Like they need to be able to sell these business cases up to their managements. And so they need to be able to portray, like think of getting a security budget without having an event. Like we always talk about this. Hey, there's no security budget until something happens and that bad thing happens. And then all of a sudden security budget comes out. So how does a CISO paint that story to the board to say, you know what, here's where we're at. Here's something bad that could happen, but here's where we're at, and here's where we could be, and here's where we're at. So hopefully some of this can, be translated into everyday usage within an organization as well.
Yeah, I actually watched, there's a pretty good podcast. Where did it go? Oh, it's actually called You Are the Storyteller, and it's a complete series, Belief Agency. And it's fantastic. It's a couple guys talking. One is like a professor of storytelling, wrote a bunch of books. The other guy, I can't remember what his is. And I'll send you guys the link, Belief Agency, You Are a Storyteller. But it is really fascinating. And they do get into just how simple it is, even conversations with your kids, conversations, with your spouse. Like you tell stories. We tell stories all the time. But it's a matter of being conscious about it. That kind of in these, the sales situations in particular, and preparing for it, of course, that really get you past the moment.
Yeah. Very true. I try it on my wife, but I suspect she'll bust me when I'm halfway into the story.
Yeah. Well, my wife was a major too, so she'll see what I do as well.
Hey, you don't want to just start with Once Upon a Time, hon?
Yeah.
All right, Peter, we're at the end of our time here. So thanks for coming on.
Anytime, fellas. This was really fun. Thanks for having me.
Hopefully make a routine out of it. Actually have you on as a regular guest.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Right.
I'll give you my shaka and aloha.
Yeah.
We're now closing out
Classic.
the Daryl and Buu show.
I'll roll the credits.
Boom.
See you, Peter. See you, everybody.
See ya.
Thanks.
Thanks for checking this out today. If you're watching via YouTube right now, go ahead and click subscribe down below. Also click the bell for notifications. That way you will find out when we are dropping a new video or when we're going live. Also, there's darylandbuu.com. If you head over to that, leave your name and email address, we will drop a weekly technical newsletter in your inbox every Monday. Also, this is available via podcast, Apple, Google, Spotify. Head over to one of those, hit subscribe, and you'll be able to listen to us in the car on your commute or during a walk or a run. Thank you very much, and we will see you next time.